There was one particular time, okay, let me just share this quick story. There was one particular time where I was at work and my phone rings. And I pick up my phone, right, and my neighbour was like, Corey, there's someone in your house right now, yeah?
Story again.
Your alarm is going off. I can see through the window. This person's shadow is in the house. Do you want me to go in? I was like, what?
Welcome to our channel.
Welcome.
So today we're going to be doing a property Q&A.
Yes, but before we begin, I just want to say thank you to every single person that has been sharing our videos and also recommending our videos to families and friends on all across the social media platforms. This is exactly why we do this. We do this to share our knowledge, to share our information with you guys. And of course, we are not financial advisors. We are not property professionals. We are just two people who happen to have experiences within property, and we're just sharing some experiences with you guys to save you money and also to prevent you guys from making the obvious mistakes.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yes, indeed.
So we got these questions through on Twitter and Instagram. So we're just gonna read them as we see them. And just go ahead. So question number 1: house renovation tips. I don't know if you've done a before and after video, but interested to see your journey in renovating your house, which spaces you prioritized and how much it cost, etc. So different levels to the question.
So the first question is
house renovation tips.
Right.
What would be our top tips?
My house renovation tips would be try to see what you can do by yourself.
Yep.
Say for instance you're redoing your kitchen, try to see if you can rip out the kitchen on your own.
Or it might not be you yourself. You could get family members, friends, people you know.
Yeah, it's very easy to do. You'll be so surprised. As easy as just ripping things off. And that's what it is really.
Yeah.
In terms of getting tradesmen, I actually mentioned this in our video previously, but I think I might have said it too fast and someone actually did message me asking me what did you say. And the two websites that I did recommend were mybuilder.com and also checkatrade.com, and I'll also link it down below in the description.
Yeah, okay. So if we've done a before and after video, we've done a before and after video for our kitchen renovation. So you can go ahead and watch that. Which spaces you prioritized and how much it cost. So what we did in the house, we didn't do a lot as we mentioned in our last video. We pretty much redone the kitchen, so that included the units as well as the floors. We redid the floors in our dining room and we redid the floors in the toilet and the bathroom, and we just recently redid all our 6 windows in the property. So that's all we've done.
And also redecorated the entire house, which was what I did myself.
Yeah, so all decorations including painting, including ripping up wallpaper. We pretty much did that on our own, so we didn't get builders or anything like that to do that for us.
In terms of
cost wise, so we want to break it down. Tiles,
the kitchen cost. Okay. If we're gonna break it down like that,
we're gonna break it down.
Let's break it down. Okay, so the kitchen units, I think did set us back about was it £4,000, and the tiles that we have on our floor did cost us roughly about between £500 to £600.
Just the tiles alone.
Just for the tiles alone. And the towel fitter cost us about £800.
Yeah.
And then the kitchen fitter, who I also quite cheekily slipped in about 15-20 quid to do the plumbing work in the loft, because he was a plumber as well, and he cost us about, I think, I'll budget him about £850 to £900.
Yeah, and then the windows that we recently did cost us £1,550. So you guys can calculate the total. I ain't got time for that.
But of course, there are other things we've not also mentioned as well, such as paint here and there, and those little brushes here and there and stuff.
So we obviously bought our paint, we bought brushes, we bought rolling pins and things like that. But that's gonna. I don't think you need the cost of that.
So all in all, if we was to budget all together, we would say we've not exceeded over £15,000. And like I said as well in the previous video, a general rule of thumb is to aim to not spend above 10% of the total value of the house when it comes to redecorating the house, but that does not include extensions. So this is for things such as what we've just mentioned, maybe redecorating kitchen and toilet. So if you're looking for extension, that's a different bracket.
Yep. And lastly, we prioritize the kitchen because, like we said in our previous video, the kitchen did need an uplift. There was no way we could sort of work with the units that we currently had, so it had to be ripped out and replaced. So we prioritized the kitchen, and it kind of just followed on from there. We then did the floors, because if you're gonna have, you know, white cabinets, it's not gonna go with the dark floors that we had. So we did them. Just continuation in the entire property. We wanted that continuation. We didn't want wooden tiles in the dining room and then different color tiles upstairs in the bathroom and toilet. So we just redid all of that. And then, like we said, just recently we did the windows. That wasn't really a priority at the beginning, but now we saw it as a priority because, of course, with the COVID, we managed to squeeze in a nice deal.
Exactly.
So we might as well just do it, and we're at home as well.
And
so
I think it's good to mention as well. It's good to mention as well that me personally, I'm a type of person that I'm aware with times, and I try to take advantage of what's happening at that time. Say, for instance, you've got work in mind to do now. Start contacting tradesmen. They're all out of work at the moment. No one's willing for tradesmen to come into their property. Unfortunately for us, we were met with a situation whereby one of our locks on the windows stopped working, so therefore we were left with no other option but to have it done now. Otherwise maybe someone could actually break into our home. So for that reason, we slipped in a nice deal with the whole situation of what's happening. And also it's good to mention as well that with the question says, what did we prioritize? We did not prioritize wanting to do an extension in the house, even though we have the room and the space to do an extension. We didn't prioritize, you know, fixing up the outbuilding, because for us it's a matter of what is your short and long-term goals, and that's one thing each property owner and investor should also think about as when it is that they're redoing their house.
Okay, so question number 2, how much did you guys roughly save? So I would think that this question is regarding how much we saved before getting the house.
Yeah.
So before getting the house, we saved roughly around 100k.
Yeah, well, prior to getting the house, we'd saved up between 90 to 100k, and by the time the house, everything all went through, and also buying the furniture and everything, by then we'd already gone over £100,000. But bear in mind at that time as well, we're also paying for our wedding.
Yeah. So how long did the process take to save? So this process to save that amount of money probably took 1.5 years. And then I would say from getting the loan, we pretty much we were not waiting for, we kind of were actually. We were kind of waiting for a ballpark number before we went ahead with the banks, and it was so silly because we were like, oh, we need a bit more money before we can approach banks, blah blah blah. And then we spoke to my brother who already had a mortgage, and then he was like, you guys, seriously, what are you waiting for? Like, you guys just go. Like,
I remember even speaking to a friend of mine, right, and he was like, how much have you guys got? And I was like, £60,000, but honestly, but we're not ready yet. I was like, what? You've got £60,000 and you guys are not ready yet? You're playing with yourself. And that's when the penny dropped, and I was thinking, hold on a minute, £60,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, but then we then raised it to about 80. I remember when we got to 80, we were like, okay, let's approach the bank. Yeah, that's when we actually.
But that was what worked for us.
Yeah, we're not saying you have to do this.
No.
Obviously, back then we were very young, and we were very inexperienced. And to be honest with you, we didn't know anybody who had actually gotten a mortgage.
It isn't like how it is now, where everyone's on YouTube and
aside from my brother at that time, we didn't have any other go to in terms of advice. And of course with him, he had gotten his mortgage as well, like years before us, so things had changed as well. So we were very like, oh my god, we don't want to be turned down, we want to make sure we have more than enough money, and therefore we waited to have at least 80k to approach the bank.
And I think it's more of a personal thing with us as well. We just like to make sure that we have enough, you know, in case of a rainy day or whatever, we've just got more than enough. That's just how we are.
So to answer that question, so we waited till we had that amount of money, and then by the time we approached the bank, we pretty much got our agreement in principle quite quickly. And in terms of finding the house, it didn't take us long after that. It probably took us about a month / 5 weeks. Roughly. I would say it was quite. I would say that was quite a short amount of time, because we were literally scheduling viewings pretty much almost every weekend on a Saturday. We worked Monday to Friday, and I even worked at times Saturday and Sunday.
I was working some Saturdays as well.
Yeah, so we had to do like alternate Saturdays where we can go to viewings, and on those days we would literally schedule about 10 to 12 viewings of different houses. So it was quite militant.
I remember after church, because our church also does like 7 a.m. services on Sundays. Sometimes we go 7 a.m. service, and then by 9 a.m. out of the church already, literally go into the next viewing.
Yeah, so it didn't take us long to actually find the house that we wanted, and from then on, it was quite straightforward. The entire process after putting an offer for the house was probably another 5-6 weeks, and then we got the keys.
Cool.
Yeah. This person also asked how much were renovations. We've already answered that in the first question, so we'll move on to the next one.
Rewind the video.
Yeah. So this person asked, is it really worth moving outside of London? Like, really worth it? House-wise, area-wise, cost-wise. Okay, so...
We've answered some of this in the previous video.
Yeah, but we'll just touch up on it.
Yeah,
so, long story short, is it really worth moving outside of London?
For us, yes, it worked out perfectly for us. Because, we've got a bigger property, we've got enough space, enough room for us. We do like our space, we do like our privacy as well. So that literally has worked out perfectly for us.
So with regards to moving outside to London, I just want to make it known that outside of London doesn't necessarily mean you're moving like 5 hours away, 3 hours away, moving to another country. No, you can literally be on the outskirts of London, which would probably take you 20 minutes to get back into central London, or half an hour or 40 minutes. So it depends on how far out of London you want to go. But in terms of, getting more for your money, you will definitely get more for your money if you move outside of London. London is the capital of England. So,
yeah, you're
England,
right.
Yeah. London is the capital of England. So obviously prices will be inflated than anywhere else in the UK. So just trust your gut. Go on some viewings outside of London and see what you can actually get for your money, because you'd be surprised at the bargain and the space that you can get. So from our perspective, houses are definitely worth, moving outside of London for the space, the greenery that you get, as well as the community. It's not as hostile as London would be. You've got, everything you can do in London, you've got outside of London.
And I think it's fair to mention as well that this is our experience. I mean, I know friends of mine actually, who've found great deals in London.
Yeah.
Some of them have, but it's the rare occasion from where it is that I know of. So this is just once again our reality.
Yeah. So area-wise, as we were touching upon, yes, it indeed is worth it. You have like a greater sense of community.
Yeah.
For us anyway, where we moved to, there's a greater sense of community. London is quite a busy city. It's up and go. Whereas when you're slightly outside, you get more of a calming, peaceful, family orientated sort of vibe. I mean,
our neighbours literally take out the trash for us. Like, I live things out there, and in London, you think someone's doing that for you? You mad? Like, literally, the funniest thing is, like, I come back home, it's like, hey, Corey, I've got a delivery for you. There was one particular time, let me just share this one quick story. There's one particular time where I was at work, and my phone rings, and I pick up my phone, right, and my neighbour was like, Corey, there's someone in your house right now, yeah?
Story again.
Your alarm is going off, I can see through the window, this person's shadow is in the house. Do you want me to go in? I was like, what? No, don't go in. Do not go in. Do not go in. My wife is in the house. I picked up the phone now. I rang Susan from work. Susan was there doing the dishes, like proper dancing. Yeah, can I help you?
Headphones in.
She had headphones in. Guess what? The alarm in the house was going off. Susan had triggered off the intruder alarm. She didn't even know. But that just goes to show how aware my neighbours are. I mean, okay, in London probably you might get things like that, but it just goes to show.
You get nice people everywhere.
It goes to show.
It's not a London thing.
It goes to, but all across our road, it just goes to show the community's spirit,
and
also like neighbours looking out for each other.
I've heard of some nightmare neighbours, outside of London too.
Wow.
My colleagues have told me
really?
of them. Yes, I'll tell you the story after.
Let's move on.
But anyway, and cost-wise, of course, yes, outside of London, the prices for houses are cheaper.
Yeah.
So for sure, if you have limited amount of funds, it is worth looking outside of London rather to stretch yourself.
However, it's worth mentioning as well that in some cases, the further out of London you move, the cheaper it becomes. However, the more you depend on London and the more you have to go into commute into London, the more costly travel will be for you, or might be for you.
You need a balance. You don't want to sort of move way out of London and then all your life is still in London and you're having to commute a lot.
Yeah.
Nor do you want to, remain in London and then, you're still dying because you can't afford it. So you kind of want to make sure you are able to, if you still have to go into London, you don't move way too out, so you can still afford it.
Unless unless your work actually compensates for the travel.
Or you relocate your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question, stamp duty. Is there any way around it if you're already on the ladder? Just be straight to the point.
Hell no. You gotta pay the stamp duty.
You gotta pay. The moment you've got one property and you're looking to buy another, and any future properties after, you will have to pay stamp duty.
I think, but the only way you can actually reduce the stamp duty is by the price or the figure that you pay for the investment property. If you pay, say for instance, you pay £100,000 for a property up north, the stamp duty for that would be £3,000, which is manageable. If you pay about £200,000, the stamp duty would be £7,500. But if you're going above and paying £400,000, £450,000, the stamp duty could be up to £26,000. So once again, the lower the figure is, or the lower the amount is for the investment property, the better it is for you in stamp duty.
Okay. Is shared ownership a good path for a first-time buyer?
Shared ownership. Well, once again, it depends on your long and your short-term goals. I do know people on shared ownership, and for those of you who don't know what shared ownership is essentially the essence of you taking out a mortgage on a certain percentage of the property. So say for instance, you own 50% of the property. Now you take out 40% loan of the overall cost of that property, and then the other 50% belongs to another investor or maybe a developer, and they are who you shared the shared ownership with. So therefore you pay your mortgage and you pay the other person with who owns the 50%, you pay them a rent. So in essence you pay rent and you pay mortgage.
Yeah.
And once again, like I said, it depends on your long and your short-term goals. I mean, some people do it as a bridge in order for them to, gain assets within that property so that they can then later on sell their shares to move on to somewhere else later on in life, so that they're paying mortgage, for like a long period of time and just wasting a lot of money.
Also, you should see, what your circumstance is.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you were, say, a single person, because a lot of times some buyers, they have like a partner to buy with, but let's say you're a single person and, you're not able to raise up the capital you need to put a deposit or for the full 100% of that property, then shared ownership is something to look into, because at that way you could be, single, but then you still have a share of a house. You are still a homeowner, so you don't need to be waiting around. Let time pass where you could just, with the money you have saved up, you can go ahead and, get a property via shared ownership. So that is quite a good way to, like you said, get your foot on the step ladder. Yeah,
and I think as well it's worth throwing in the Help to Buy scheme, the government Help to Buy scheme, where they give you about 20% and you provide the 5%, something along that line. I think, because a lot of people have their own reservations. I have my own reservation with the Help to Buy scheme, and I think for us, it would have worked. If we were to say, right, we want a property in London, we want to go on the Help to Buy scheme, let's go for it, and then with the 5 years, pay back the government, we would have been able to actually raise and save that money to pay that off. So it just depends on each individual. And if you assess your situation, you take the Help to Buy scheme and you know that within the 5 years, you can pay off that loan. So after 5 years, all you owe is just the mortgage between you and the bank, then that will be a perfect scheme. But that is another story for another vlog. Yeah. Next question.
Next question. Would you get into buy-to-let, and if not, then why? So yes, we would get into buy-to-let. Why not? It's a good
Of course, it's definitely, we'll definitely get into get a buy-to-let. And for those of you who don't know what buy-to-let is, would you get a second property basically? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing for us right now is just gaining assets for us and our future and our kids as well, and also assets that we can pass on from generations to generations. And that's the whole point of what we do. So of course, if it is that we do find a deal that is affordable, keyword affordable, to us, and one that we see and we've done the calculations, it will give us the return of an investment that we've definitely, that we would like, then most definitely we'll definitely go ahead for it.
Yeah. Last question. Do you believe in overpaying your mortgage or shortening your terms? Yes, We do.
We definitely strongly believe in overpaying.
Yeah.
And for those of you who do not know, say for instance, you get a mortgage, right? In London or in England, it's commonly known for you to be able to pay off up to 10% of the remaining figure of your mortgage. Say for instance, you take out a mortgage and the remaining figure of the mortgage is £200,000, right? And your monthly payment is £1,000. There are 12 months in a year, so typically you would pay £12,000 in a year, and in that year you're allowed to pay another £20,000 on top of that £12,000. So that brings the total that you are allowed to pay for that year as £32,000. So we strongly believe in overpaying your mortgage, bringing the rates down.
If you've got the funds to do it, so if you've got the funds to do it and it's not gonna cause you to struggle, then for sure go ahead and pay more. It doesn't have to be the maximum amount. You could just pay an additional, £200 each month. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount, but for sure it is something worth doing. However, it might not work for everybody.
And once again, it depends on your long and your short-term goals. Some people do not care about property investing. Some people do not care about a second property. They just want to get that one property, move in with their family, and call it a day. And pay off the mortgage as soon as possible. And for those people, early repayments is your best friend, because once again you pay less interest on the property as time goes on, and overall as well. However, there are people out there who are interested in wanting to invest in more properties. For those people, if they're looking to invest in more properties in the short term, then the aim is to bring down your mortgage as little as possible to free up more cash for you to invest everywhere. Just diversify your investments, and that of course bring your return on investment within the rental yield that you get on all these other properties, which once again progresses you on further and further. However, that is not to say that if you make overpayment that you cannot withdraw this overpayment when it comes to remortgaging. Each mortgage has a mortgage term that comes to an end eventually. Right, so in some cases 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. And when that term comes, you can say, right, I've had enough of overpaying. Now let me take back all this money, leave back the little I can, and then reinvest that money somewhere else. So overall, the answer is yes, but it depends on your short and your long-term goals.
Okay, so we've come to the end of the video.
Yes.
And you already know what to do. If you thought this video was helpful, if you thought, it really answered the questions you wanted answered, then go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Make sure you comment and of course subscribe. Yes, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.